By 2050, entire countries could begin disappearing. Not because of nuclear war, not because of climate change, but because the world is running out of sand. That sentence sounds ridiculous. Until you look around you, every city skyline, every highway stretching beyond the horizon, every bridge, dam, airport, port, factory, and power plant, all of it exists for one reason: sand. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, physically. Modern civilization is not built on steel. Steel is useless without concrete. And concrete is nothing more than sand, crushed stone, and cement. A typical house consumes 200 tons of sand. A single mile of highway consumes 38,000 tons. Every city you've ever seen is just a sand structure that doesn't melt. And the world is consuming sand at a rate that has quietly become unsustainable. Over 50 billion tons every year. More than oil. More than coal. More than any solid resource humans extract from the earth. Yet no one talks about it. Because sand feels infinite. Because deserts look endless. Because scarcity is hard to imagine when something is literally under your feet. That illusion is about to collapse. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. Most sand on Earth is useless. Desert sand, shaped by wind, is too smooth to bind into concrete. Beach sand is protected or already eroding coastlines. The sand civilization actually depends on comes from only three places: rivers, lakes, and seabeds. And those systems are being stripped faster than they can recover. Rivers are dredged deeper every year. Riverbeds collapse. Coastlines retreat. Deltas sink. This is not environmental theory. This is structural failure. And when structure fails, geopolitics follows. We've seen this before. In 1963, Algeria and Morocco went to war in what history quietly labeled the Sand War. On the surface, it was a border dispute left behind by colonial maps. But borders don't send armies to fight. Resources do. Beneath the sand of the Bejar and Tindouf regions lay iron, manganese, oil, and control over strategic oases in a territory without water. What looked like empty desert was, in reality, future power. Armies mobilized. Shots were fired. The war ended quickly, but the rivalry never did. It hardened borders, poisoned diplomacy, shaped North African geopolitics for decades. And it left behind a warning we ignored. If nations were willing to fight over sand in the 1960s for iron, they will fight over it in the 21st century for something far more valuable. Because today, sand is no longer just about buildings. It is about technology. Scarcity alone does not cause wars. Chokepoints do. When a resource is everywhere, nations compete. When it exists in only a few places, nations prepare for conflict. This is the moment sand stops being a construction material and becomes a strategic weapon. Because not all sand is equal. And the sand that matters most is not used to build cities. It is used to run the world. Look at the device in your hand. Inside it is silicon. Not lithium, not cobalt, silicon. And silicon does not come from beaches. To make a modern microchip, sand must be so pure that even microscopic contamination destroys it. 99.999% pure. That level of purity is not manufacturing. It is geology. And geology does not distribute itself evenly. There is a small town in the United States almost no one has heard of. Spruce Pine, North Carolina. No global power, no military presence, but beneath it lies one of the most valuable deposits on Earth. Ultra-pure quartz formed over 300 million years ago. This sand becomes silicon for advanced semiconductors, satellites, data centers, artificial intelligence, and modern weapons systems. To produce 1 kilogram of usable silicon, you need roughly 2.6 kilograms of high-quality quartz sand. Now multiply that across billions of chips. Suddenly, sand is not abundant, it is precious. And here is the uncomfortable truth. If access to this sand is disrupted by war, disaster, or strategic pressure, chip production does not slow. It stops. No phones, no guided missiles, no financial networks, no modern military coordination. This is what a 21st century choke point looks like. Not a canal, not a strait, a geological dependency. And once nations recognize a choke point, they do not leave it exposed. They secure it. They plan around it. They prepare to defend it. This is why sand now belongs in the same category oil once did, only more dangerous. Because oil had alternatives. Silicon does not, and technology is only one front. The second front threatens something far more unstable. People. There is a place where the war over sand is already happening. No headlines, no armies, just loss. The Mekong River. For Vietnam and Cambodia, the Mekong is not geography. It is survival. It feeds rice fields, provides drinking water, sustains tens of millions of lives. But the river is being emptied from below. Industrial sand mining has lowered parts of the riverbed by several meters. The consequences are devastating. As the riverbed drops, seawater moves inland. Salt poisons farmland. Fresh water disappears. At the same time, the land begins to sink. Entire sections of the Mekong Delta are collapsing. This is not erosion. This is extraction. Upstream, China's dams trap sediment that would naturally replenish the delta. Downstream, countries mine what remains to fuel construction and growth. No shots are fired, but the effect is the same. One nation's development becomes another nation's collapse. By 2050, up to 12 million people in the Mekong Delta alone may be displaced. And when land disappears, borders stop working. Migration begins, tensions rise, conflict follows. Now, zoom out. Across the world, sand is being used to manufacture territory. In the South China Sea, China has extracted vast quantities of marine sand to build artificial islands, runways, radar systems, missile platforms, land created from the sea floor, sovereignty built from dust. Even the Netherlands, masters of land reclamation, are reaching limits. Marine sand must be washed of salt. That requires enormous amounts of fresh water. Every solution consumes another scarce resource. And where states move slowly, criminal networks move fast. Across India, Morocco, and parts of Africa, sand mafias strip rivers overnight. Officials are bribed. Villages are threatened. Resistance is silenced. In some regions, sand now generates more money than drug trafficking. This is why it is called the blood diamond of construction. Invisible, essential, violent. So when we ask if the next world war could be fought over sand, we misunderstand the timeline. The war is not coming. It has already begun. In supply chains, in riverbeds, in sinking deltas. Oil shaped the 20th century. Sand is shaping the 21st. And the most dangerous wars are never the ones that begin with explosions, but the ones that begin when the ground itself can no longer support civilization.